Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sarah and it is time for another random number generator TBR jar challenge. So if you are new here, I do a random number generator to figure out how many pages I am going to read for the week, and the books that I read during that time or for those pages, I choose randomly out of my jar. This is all the books that I have on my TBR. The blue ones are my oldest books, and then yellow and then pink are my newest ones. And then I do have red in here now that are books that I would like to reread and I just haven't made time for. So first things first, we will do the random number generator. I'm going to do it for the entire week so that way I get an array of numbers. It's not all the same thing. And so today is Thursday, January 30th, and I'm going to do it from today until next Thursday, and we'll see what I get. We'll see. So I think this time I'm going to do a minimum of 50 and a maximum of 250. I've been reading quite a bit here lately and I'm having a great time. So I'm just going to kind of lean into that and see what I can end up getting read. I am working on multiple videos at one time, so my number of pages that I read for the day might be from this book, but any extras might be from another book. I also try and keep track of my number of pages every single day so that way I can keep a running total of how much I read for the week, just because I think it's fun to see how much I can actually get done when I set this kind of a goal for myself. So that being said, Thursday today we will do 67, easy enough. Tomorrow, Friday, we'll do 228. Saturday, 142. Sunday, 168. Monday, 208. Tuesday, we'll read 58. Wednesday, we'll read 197. And finally for Thursday, we'll read 220. So there's our numbers. We have a couple of small numbers in there. Most of them are big numbers, but you know what? We'll figure it out. Also, usually with this, what I end up having to do is I do get behind a lot of times, so tends to spill over into Friday, but that's okay. I'd rather complete the whole number of pages. Let me add these up actually real quick. So we have one of these days, I'm gonna be able to actually do all of this on the day that I plan to, but it hasn't happened yet. So we're gonna read just under 1,300 pages this week at least if I finish all of this. So it's going to be 1,288. So I took screenshots of all of my numbers so that way I could put them in my reading journal and keep track. And then let's choose some books that I'm going to be reading. So I'm going to, I think, pick 3 to start with. I'm going to try and do one blue one, one yellow one, and one pink one. I'm not going to worry so much about red ones at the moment because I do want to narrow down my TBR. So that's what we're going to do. So let's go with a blue one first. And we'll pick this one. That way I can kind of choose between which books I want to start with. Ooh! That's a great start. We have Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. That would be fantastic. I would love to be able to like reread Six of Crows and then finish the duology. So this one is not read. It is technically a reread, but it's not read because I read it years ago and I need to reread it in order to read Crooked Kingdom. So that is our first book to pick, first option for that 67 pages or whatever it was for today. Next up, we have a yellow one. So let's go with this one. Lady Tan's Circle of Women by Lisa C. Okay, a historical fiction, but it's not very long, so that's good. That would be a fun one to kind of fly through. I love doing this because I feel like with having a set goal of number of pages, I could start a book and just like binge read, and then if I'm, you know, have short books, I can get through a handful of books. Because I like seeing as well how many books I can actually finish within this week trying to read all these pages. So it makes that a lot of fun. And that's why I like doing it this way. All right, so last we'll do a pink one. One of my newer books. Let me see one, let me get it out of here. Okay, let's go with this one. The Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. Okay, that's a really good mix. Okay, so we have a YA dystopian that is a heist book that I've already read technically. We have a historical fiction that is set in China about women in medicine. And we have The Serpent and the Wings of Night, which is a, I believe, vampire trial book. Okay, so like I said, we have Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo, a YA dystopian heist book. I have read this before, and I did really enjoy it when I first read it. This is set in the Grishaverse. I have not read Shadow and Bone. I had it for a long time and finally ended up giving it to my sister because I just didn't have a whole lot of interest in it. But I really liked this when I first read it. I love also Lies of Locke Lamora, and that's actually part of the reason that I picked up that series was because of this. And so I want to reread this. I want to read Crooked Kingdom, finish out the duology. So there's this one. And then we have Lady Tan's Circle of Women by Lisa C. Like I said, this one is about basically women in medicine. So it's set, I don't remember if it says when this is set, but it's basically about how women aren't supposed to be involved with medicine, but they're midwives and whatnot. And so it's kind of looking at that, and yeah, I don't really remember fully, but I think it sounds really interesting, and I am excited to read it and kind of read a different historical fiction that's not primarily World War II, which is why I bought this. So this is one that I've needed to get to for quite a while, and I'm really excited to try it out. And then we have Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. I've heard fantastic things about this book. I'm really excited to try it out. Like I said, it's vampires, and I believe that there's trials in here, and that's really all I know. I'm starting to get really into the fantasy, romance, romantic-y genre, and so I got this one, and I'm really excited to try it. So our first number for today is 67. I think that's going to be pretty easy to do. I'm not sure which one to start with. Maybe I'll start with Lady Tan's Circle of Women, just to kind of start with a shorter book, get a win right from the beginning. And honestly, like Six of Crows, I'd like to be able to turn around and read the second book as well, like soon afterwards, just so that way I can finish it out. But I will figure out which one for sure I'm gonna start with, and then I will come back and check in with you once I get started on my pages for today. So I will check back in with you once I get going with my pages. Okay guys, so I started out reading Lady Tan's Circle of Women by Lisa C. I needed to read 67 pages for today. I am officially up to part 2. So I am officially 81 pages into this book, and it's very interesting. So this book starts out in 1469 in China, and it's following Yangxian, and she is 8 years old, and she's just had her feet bound, which is a tradition from back then that I don't fully understand. It's basically, it's a thing of beauty for the women to have their feet bound and have small feet. She has a tragedy happen that her mom, that they call Respectful Lady, her feet get infected, and because of that infection basically it ends up leading to her mother passing away. And because of that, she has to go and live with her grandparents because her father is traveling, and she's never met her grandparents. So when she goes to live with her grandparents, she goes with her half-brother and her father's concubine and her servant, Poppy. Now, this book is following basically her life as she grows up. And so like I said, I'm in part 2 now where she's 12 to 13 years old. And right now, or what I've read so far, she's 8 years old. She moves in with her grandparents, and her grandparents are doctors. Her grandfather is a doctor, and her grandmother has learned things in medicine to help women. So her grandmother works closely with a midwife and helps with women's issues. Because basically what it comes down to is the men in this time cannot do anything that has to do with blood or women's issues or anything like that. So a big part of the first portion of this book is that they're helping this woman who is pregnant with her 6th child and is having a hard time. But it's talking about different things that they can look at to try and help her and ease things for her. They're also very superstitious with this. Like, I tabbed a couple of things in here because I thought it was interesting. So one of them is when it's talking about when this woman is giving birth to her child. And it talks about that whole process, like her childbirth and stuff. And so it says, I can't see if it's a boy or a girl. Grandmother doesn't inquire as to the baby's sex, and neither does Lady Wong. Grandmother warned me about this ahead of time. It is taboo for anyone in the birth chamber to ask this question, for fear the evil spirits will hear the answer and swoop in to harm the infant. So I thought that was really interesting, that they don't ask about what gender the baby is because they think that it's like bad luck. Another thing that I thought was interesting was when they first talked to her about the issues that she's having, they're asking things like if she's eaten crab. So it says, they ask her if she's eaten crab meat. And it says, good, since it can cause a baby to be born in the transverse position because crabs walk sideways. And then they ask her if she's eaten sparrow meat. And it says, because eating sparrow can result in a baby being born with sparrow spots or black freckles. Worse, eating sparrow can cause a baby, boy or girl, to grow into someone with no morals. So they're very superstitious in things like that. It also says that like she has to give birth over straw, and the straw has to be taken away and buried after she's given birth because otherwise there's like bad luck for the sheets to get stained and then washed and air dried because it basically allows the evil spirits to come and like cause problems for her and her child. It's very, very interesting, the different little superstitions that they have, especially when it comes to childbirth. And I think that's partly because like I'm a mom, so I think it's really interesting. Young Xian at this point, like I said, she's 8 years old, and they are trying to find her a husband because at 15 years old, back in this time, when you're 15 years old, that's when you leave your family and you go and get married. And so there's also a lot of rules that she's having to learn about how to be a wife and a mother and things that you're going to teach your children one day and stuff like that. So I think that's really interesting because that's a lot to take on at 8 years old. And it talks about at some point like how she's really, really stressed out. It says, I'm grateful to my grandparents for taking such care with my betrothal, but it's in my nature to worry. I'm 8, he is 9. I don't know who I'll be in 7 years, let alone what he'll be like. And it's just, it's insane to think about like the fact that she's 8 years old and she's thinking about getting married and says that she doesn't even like know what she's gonna be like. And it's like, if I was 8 years old having to picture my life being the way that it is now, like who could possibly do that? Because I wasn't even considering that at 8 years old. But this is the norm for them at that time. And I wasn't sure how I was gonna like this book, but I'm very intrigued to see how things are going to play out because it's historical fiction. It's real things, that it's how things were. And I'm really curious to see what's going to happen next when she actually gets to the point of having to start a family, because now her grandmother has started to teach her a bit about her women's doctoring. And so she's starting to learn a little bit more about medicine, which is very unusual in this day and age because women aren't doctors. Women are not allowed to be doctors. They could be midwives, but even midwives are looked down on, even though the fact that they're the ones who get their hands dirty to help bring babies into the world. And her grandmother, Rue, gets so irritated with her grandfather because he has such a man's perspective. Like, what do you need a midwife for? Animals don't need midwives, so why should a woman need a midwife? And the grandmother gets so irritated with him because it's just like, you don't know anything about this. You don't understand what can go wrong. You don't understand anything when it comes to childbirth. And so she gets so mad at him, and it cracks me up a little bit. Men, especially back then, they're not even going to be anywhere near, they're not going to be in a 5-mile radius of anything that's happening when it comes to childbirth. But it's just really, really interesting. So I am enjoying this a lot. I am debating on if I'm going to keep reading this because, like I said, I have hit my 67 pages for today in my very long-winded bit of talking so far. I have reached and surpassed my 67 pages for today. So now I'm debating on if I'm going to continue on with this and read a bit more, or if I'm going to switch to my other book that I'm reading for a different video. And very, very different books, very different books. I'm reading a funny fantasy, satirical fantasy book for my other video, and then I'm reading this one, which is medicine in the 15th century. So very, very different. But I am enjoying both of them. So I'm really glad that I went with this one to start with, because I have been letting this one intimidate me a lot. And I'm really glad that I've picked it up and I've started reading it. And I did not expect to actually start tabbing things, because I wanted to be able to have a few reference points for talking to you about this book. So now, like I said, I'm on part 2. So it's getting to the point where she's kind of turning into a teenager, gonna start becoming a woman. So I'm excited to see where this one goes. But either way, I don't know if I'm gonna keep reading this one today or if I'm gonna switch gears. I haven't decided yet. I know this one isn't very long. So this book is 339 pages, so it's not very long at all, but I am going to decide what I'm going to do. I'm going to do some more reading irregardless, and I'm going to keep track of my pages, and I will come back either later on this evening or tomorrow morning, and I will let you know how many pages that I read today in total. So we already know that I've met my goal for today, but let's see how many pages I can end up reading overall. And so I will check back in with you later on. Hey guys, good morning. So I wanted to come in and check in with you. It is now Friday, the 31st of January, and I did quite a bit of reading yesterday. So my total for yesterday was 236 pages. And I'm really proud of that, because I only had to read 67. That's not going to be a trend. I guarantee it. I'm not gonna be able to keep up with it over the course of the week. I never do. But I always get off to a really good start. So yesterday I started reading Lady Tan's Circle of Women, and I got super into this book, a lot more than I was expecting to. I got up to 182 pages in this yesterday, so nearly 200 pages just in this, and I am really enjoying it. I think it's very interesting. I think that my favorite part about this is the look into pregnancy and childbirth and the superstitions that the Chinese had during the 15th century and the foot binding. It talks about how they do the foot binding, and it's so wild when you look up pictures of foot binding on the internet and see that these women made their feet this big because they completely crushed and curled over their feet to make them smaller, just to make them more aesthetically pleasing for their husbands. And that's insane to me, because back then it was what they did. It was a sign of beauty, and I understand that. But the fact that they completely morphed their feet to make them smaller is just a wild thought. And they do it when they're young. They do it when they're, was it like 5 or 6, I think is what they said. Maybe not that young, but it talks about like at the beginning when she's 8 years old, she's having her feet bound. And so either way, they're young, but they're old enough that their feet have developed more, and so they're doing this, and it's crazy. just completely morphing their feet just to make them more beautiful for their husbands. So that aside, I think it's very, very interesting. I really like the way that this is written. This is written in just a really easy to understand, easy to follow storyline, talking about the struggles that Young Sian has with just day-to-day life, with having a mother-in-law who doesn't like her or doesn't seem to like her, and going to a new home with a new family that she doesn't know anybody there. The only person that she knows, after she gets married and moves into her husband's home, the only person that she knows is Poppy, her servant. And then Poppy does something to lose her trust, and so now she's like, well, now I'm on my own, what do I do? And she kind of spirals, like she kind of gets really depressed while she's there, and it's talking about having to deal with that postpartum depression, and how that gets amplified because of the depression that she's already feeling for being on her own in a new place and not knowing where she belongs or anything like that. So she's looking into a lot of different things. And I think this book is written really well because it's, I don't want to say a complex situation, it's just a very different situation from like what day-to-day life is like now. And Lisa C has written this in a really, really easily understandable way. I think she's taken something that feels very out of reach, at least for me personally. When it comes to historical context, it's very different from what I understand or what I know about. And she's making it really, really easy for me to follow. And I also I feel a lot of compassion for Young Sian because I don't really have a lot of friends, and so like the only people that I really talk to is my husband and my mom and my sister. And so having those connections are very critical for me, and having I guess feeling like I can have adult conversations and not just talking to a 6-year-old, an 8-year-old, and a 1-year-old all day long. So there's things in this that I could feel a lot of compassion for her, and I'm just really, really enjoying this. And this book has really surprised me because I have not gotten super invested into a historical fiction for quite some time, and I'm completely hooked on this. I think it's really, really interesting. I think the writing is incredible. I think it's done really, really well, and I'm really excited to see what happens. Like, this isn't a fast-paced book by any means, but it's very, very interesting, and it's keeping my attention very well for being just kind of a slower paced book. I think this is one that I might end up passing along to my mom to read because I think she would really enjoy it. Just the whole concept of the Chinese culture, the superstitions, and like I said, the look into the pregnancy and the superstitions that go alongside that, I think is very, very interesting. So I'm going to keep reading this one today. Now that I've rambled for quite some time about that, my number of pages that I need to read today is 228. So I'm going to start reading this and finish reading this, and then I am going to pick up one of my other books. I don't know which one yet. I read about 50 or so pages in How to Become the Dark Lord and Die Trying, which is why my number was as high as it was when I'm not quite 200 pages into this. And so I am including that, but I'm wanting my focus to be on these books. So I'm going to decide which book I am going to start today after I finish this one. I do need to go to town today. I got to pick up groceries and other things like that. But I'm going to decide which book I'm going to pick up next. I'm probably going to try and do Six of Crows, but we'll see. And so, yeah, I will check back in with you when I have my final thoughts for Lady Tian's Circle of Women. Hey guys, so I need to come on and update you because I haven't for a couple of days and I'm already very much failing at this challenge. So on Friday, the last time I spoke with you, I was supposed to read 228 pages. I failed that. I read a total of 82 pages on Friday. So subtracting that from the 228, that means that I had 146 pages to add on to Saturday the 1st. Now on Saturday, my number was 142. Adding on the 146 pages that I did not read, I was supposed to read 288 pages yesterday. Once again, I failed that. However, I did finish Lady Tan's Circle of Women by Lisa C. I really enjoyed this. I gave this 4.5 stars. I thought it was really well written. I thought it was a very interesting topic. And I felt like it was really easy to follow, considering it's set between the 1400s and the early 1500s. I thought it was very easy to follow, and it was very interesting, and I really enjoyed it a lot. So I gave this one 4.5 stars. I'd be really curious to see what else Lisa C has written, because I did like her writing style a lot. I thought she makes topics that are a little bit intimidating for at least me, easy to understand and easy to like follow the storyline. I thought the storyline itself was really interesting. I liked seeing at the end of the book what instances she took creative liberty with versus what she actually knew facts about. I always think that's really interesting to see in historical fiction. So I really enjoyed this, and I'm really glad that I read it. So I ended up reading yesterday, I read 93 pages out of the 288, which means that I have 195 pages to add on to today. And my number for today is 168. So yeah, make sure that that's right. But yeah, so my number today is 168. So when you add 195 pages to that, that means that I have to read 363 pages today. Now, I could pretty much tell you right now that that is not going to happen, and I will be adding pages on to tomorrow, but I am going to give it my best shot and read as much as I possibly can. So the two options that I have are Serpent in the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent and Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. And I'm kind of leaning towards this one at the moment, but I think I'm going to read a little bit at the beginning of both of the books and kind of decide which one I would rather read today. This one, technically, I could read like 3/4 of this and get my pages for today. So if I really get into it, then that would be good. But it's still, that's a lot of pages to read in one day. 363 pages, like I said, it's probably not going to happen. But either way, so I am going to read a little bit in this one. I'm going to read a little bit in Six of Crows. I have read Six of Crows before. It's just been a handful of years now since I picked that one up. And when I do read Six of Crows, I kind of want to binge read the second book as well, Crooked Kingdom, just to kind of get that duology read and out of the way and not put it off anymore, since I've already put that off for probably 6 years now. But either way, I am going to get started on my reading. I wanted to come on and update you, let you guys know where we are at, how badly I am currently failing at this. Hopefully I can get my shit back in gear and do better. I know Tuesday I only have 58 pages to read, but tomorrow I do have 208. So basically we're going to see if I end up with 500 pages to read tomorrow or not. But hopefully I will be able to get some good reading done today and be able to come back to you with some better news than what I have right now. So either way, wish me luck, and I'm going to get to reading. Good morning, guys. So here we are. It is Monday morning. Yesterday I needed to read 363 pages. That did not happen, as I knew it wouldn't. I read a decent amount, but it wasn't like my best reading day. So I read a total of 139 pages yesterday, which means that I was 224 pages below my goal, which means that will be added on to today. So my page count for today is, you see that? 208. So while we're not at 500 pages that I need to read today, we have 432 pages that I need to attempt to read today, and guaranteed that will not happen. I never have a 400-page day. It's just not in the cards. I read books physically, and I cannot read books physically that fast. So I know I'm not going to be able to read 432 pages today, but I will give it my best shot. So I've already started reading for today. I've only read about 22 pages, but currently I am reading Six of Crows. I said I was going to try out both this one and Serpent in the Wings of Night However, I did end up just starting with this one and sticking with it. I am currently 176 pages into this, so a little over a third of the way through, not quite halfway. So it's almost exactly since I read, 4 years since I read this book. And I gave this one 5 stars originally, but I never went on and read the second book, which is why I wanted to read this one. It's been long enough, I'd forgotten enough, that I wanted to reread it. Now, if you don't know, Six of Crows is a spin-off of the Grishaverse from Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo. I haven't personally read Shadow and Bone. I had the first book for years and years, and I ended up just unhauling it because I lost interest. But I always held on to these ones. But this is following a band of thieves, Kaz Brekker being their leader. And they get hired to do a job, and that job is to go in and steal a person out of one of the most secure places there is and get him out of there so that way they can basically keep a magical drug that could ruin the world from going viral. And what it comes down to is that there are different powers. So there's different types of power, but basically what this magical drug does is that it intensifies it so much that it changes the properties of their magic. That if I think the one example, I don't remember what exactly he was, I think he was a tide maker, that it changed his magic enough that he was able to actually make his own form liquid, so that way he could do whatever. Like, it changes their powers enough and enhances them enough that they can get away with a lot more, which makes them exceedingly more dangerous. And so they're trying to go in and get the guy that created this formula, this magical drug, and trying to get him out of there into a secure location so that way this drug can't go viral and basically ruin the world. So originally when I read this 4 years ago, originally when I read this, I gave this 5 stars and I absolutely loved it. Now that I'm reading it again, I don't think that it's going to be 5 stars. It's dragging for me. There's a lot of things that I don't remember about it, so I am glad that I'm reading it again, and I don't hate it, but I feel like it's dragging a lot for me. And like Lies of Locke Lamora by Scott Lynch was like a slower paced book, but it was really intriguing, and I absolutely loved those when I read the first 2. I still need to finish that series. But with this one, there's just something about it that I'm not as gripped with it. I'm not as immersed with it. And I feel like that was partly because I never did read the Shadow and Bone trilogy. But like I said, I read this originally and I absolutely loved it. So I'm going to continue on with this one, but I'm just not having a great time. So I don't know if I'm going to finish it as of right now. I might change gears and like stop for now, but at the same time I feel like if I stop for now that I'm not going to pick it back up again, and then I'm just going to unhaul the duology and be done with it. So I'm going to try and keep going with this. I'm going to try and finish it out, knock it out. I have decided though that if this is a 3-star or below, which I don't think it'll be below, I think it'll at least make the 3-star cut, but if it's not something super great that I'm really wanting to continue on with, then I am going to just unhaul the duology, and I'm probably not going to read the second one. I don't know. I haven't fully decided yet. I guess it kind of depends on how this one goes. But either way, that's where I'm at right now. I'm going to get to reading because I have lots of reading to do today, and I will check back in with you later on when I actually have some more reading done. Hey guys, so it's a little bit later in the day. It is currently 4:20 right now. So, and I had a few minutes before I need to head down to the bus stop, and I thought that I would update you guys really quick before I'm in the car. Reading number for today, my page number that I needed to get was 462. I'm currently at 195 pages right now. I am like 75-80% of the way through Six of Crows. I did end up sticking with this one and reading this one today. I haven't picked up any of the others. Just thought I would tough through it, and because I am enjoying it. I remember enjoying it when I originally read it. It's just I moved away from this style a little bit, and it just felt like it was a little bit long-winded to me so far, but I am enjoying it. I like that it's not like an insta-love kind of thing. You can tell that the characters who might end up together have a past history together, and whether that's good or bad, you can tell that. and it kind of talks about their past a little bit, but it's not like they just see each other for the first time and love each other or anything like that. So I do like that factor in this a lot. And things are definitely picking up now. So I am currently on chapter 30, which is 349 pages into this book. So I will hopefully be able to finish the last little chunk of this tonight and hopefully start the next one to finally read it. After all these years, find out what happens with the rest of this duology and be able to just mark both of them off my list for good. Well, maybe not for good, but at least be able to finish them. So anyways, I just want to come on and update you. So at 195 pages, 462 minus 195, currently I am down to 267 pages less. So thank goodness for that. I am not going to have 400 pages for tomorrow. If I remember correctly, I do have a fairly low number tomorrow, but I also have chores I need to get done, bills I need to get paid tomorrow in town, so I won't have all day to read like I did today. So my number for tomorrow is 58. I have 267 pages left for today and then 58 for tomorrow. So I'm going to do my best to get my 267 down as much as I possibly can to try and help myself out for tomorrow. Luckily, tomorrow is the only day that I really have plans this week until Friday. And by that point, I will be finished with my number generator and can start editing this video. So I'm going to keep reading this. I'm going to hopefully finish it off tonight. And if I don't check back in with you tomorrow, then I will let you know my final number of pages for tomorrow. Like I said, I'm at 195 and I'm going to keep going with the count. So I will check back in with you probably tomorrow morning. Good morning, guys. So it is 7:17 in the morning right now, and today is Tuesday, the 4th of February. I wanted to come on here and update you because I did quite a bit of reading yesterday. So what I was trying to get to, I needed to read 432 pages yesterday. I ended up reading 270 pages in Six of Crows, and this morning I actually finished it off. So I did finish that one. And so today that left me with 162 pages that I needed to add on to today. So my number for today is 58 pages plus 162 left over from yesterday. So my total for today is 220 pages. So far, I've read 39 because I read the last little bit of Six of Crows. I don't have that with me, but I ended up giving that one 4 stars. So originally, when I read it, I gave it 5 stars, and I absolutely loved it. But I've kind of read a bunch of different things, and it didn't quite hit that 5-star mark for me this time. However, I still really enjoyed it, and I'm excited to continue. So I am going to get to town so that way I can get things done and hopefully get some reading done as well. And we'll see what kind of a dent I can make in that 220 pages today. Usually Tuesdays and Fridays when I go to town, I don't do a lot of reading, but I don't know, we'll see what happens. So anyways, I will check back in with you guys in a little while when I've actually picked up a book and started reading something other than just finishing Six of Crows this morning. Hey guys, what's up? We are back in the exact same place as we were when I updated you this morning, but it is now 4:30 in the afternoon. But I wanted to come on and talk to you guys for a minute. So I didn't really talk about the fact that I think the reason that Six of Crows really worked for me was because of how well Leigh Bardugo avoided insta-love in her book. Like, it's a YA book, it's a YA series, but it doesn't feel like insta-love. She did a really fantastic job of creating a history for these characters and slowly revealing it, but revealing it to where you can actually tell that there is a history. And the fact that these kids, for being 16, 17 years old, for the most part, they have difficult pasts. They have difficult things that they've had to face and that they have had to deal with. Like, especially for Kaz, the whole reason why he wears gloves all the time, once you understand that, like, it completely makes sense. But I also feel like she made the relationships very grown up, very realistic, very real for a more adult relationship, because these kids have been thrown into an adult situation, and she shows that. And so I think that's part of the reason why this book works for so many people, because technically it is a YA series. However, the characters don't feel like they're YA characters. They don't feel like they're 15 to 18 years old. Because Matthias, for example, it says that he's the oldest one there at 18, but he doesn't read that way. Like, I can imagine him in my mind as like a 30-year-old. I can imagine Kaz and Inej being right around my age or a little bit younger. For the most part, they have times where their youth kind of shows with just kind of their pettiness or, you know, little things like that. But I think overall she really does a good job of making these characters seem like they're older because of the situation that they're in. And I think that's why this series has worked so well for so many people. I also wanted to come on and tell you guys, I have not read any more today than the 39 pages that I originally started with this morning. And I think when I got to thinking about Six of Crows when I was going to town today, and kind of thinking it through in my mind, I think I kind of talked myself into picking up Crooked Kingdom. Honestly, what better time to pick up and finish out this duology finally, and especially because I am right now I am invested in these characters. I like these characters. I want to see what happens with these characters. I want to see what they do to deal with this threat that they this hand that they've been dealt. I want to see what happens with it. So I'm going to be heading down to the bus stop here in just a second, but I did grab Crooked Kingdom, and I think I've decided that I'm going to go ahead and start it because, like I said, what better time to read Crooked Kingdom than when I'm already immersed in this world, involved in these characters, and want to pick it up. So I'm afraid that if I put this off, I'm going to do exactly what I did 4 years ago, that I'm just going to put it off and just never do it. I did the same thing with Scott Lynch's Gentleman Bastard series. I still have to read Republic of Thieves. And so I think I'm just going to go ahead and start it. I mean, why not? I have plenty of pages that I need to read for the next few days that I could knock this out and I could potentially read a whole nother book with the pages that I have left. So I think I'm going to go ahead and start Crooked Kingdom tonight and see how many pages I can get knocked out. I don't think I'm going to be able to read 220 pages. I'm only at 39 right now, but I'm going to do my best. I'm going to see what I can come up with and what I can get done. And so yeah, I just kind of wanted to come in and kind of give you some of my thoughts a little bit more. I still don't have Six of Crows on hand because, like I said, I'm going to be going down to the bus stop. So yeah, I will read as much as I can tonight, and then I will probably check back in with you tomorrow morning and give you an update of what I actually got accomplished tonight and what I didn't, which we'll see how it goes. But anyways, good morning, guys. So it is now Wednesday. It's the 5th of February, and this has been a heck of a week. So I have not been making my pages. I don't think I've made my pages any day except for the first day, yesterday included. And I'm getting sick, or at least I'm plugged up. So I don't know if it's like allergies because the wind's been blowing and things have been warming up. It's been in the 50s this week and windy, but either way, I'm all clogged up, so I sound kind of goofy, so I apologize. But here we are. So yesterday, I was supposed to read 220 pages. I checked in with you a couple of times. I hadn't read a whole lot. I said I would see what I would get done last night. And the truth is, let's be honest here, it wasn't much. It wasn't much. So I got dinner made, I got laundry put away, and all that stuff. And then by that point, after I ate dinner, I was exhausted. And so I read part of the first chapter in Crooked Kingdom, and that was it. I was down for the count. I was out for the night. So I read a total of 46 pages yesterday. Not much. That means that I have to add 174 pages onto today. So go back to my screenshots here for my pages for the day. And this is the number I have for today. It is 197 pages. Add 197 and 174, and our total for the day is 371 pages. That's a lot. That is a lot.
But I think I can make a good dent in it, to be completely honest. I don't have anything specific planned, and honestly, with the way I feel, I'm kind of just gonna be a bum today, do a bunch of reading, watch the movies, hang out with my daughter, and just read. At least that's kind of my plan. So I have 371 pages today. I have read approximately 25 so far in Crooked Kingdom. I have officially started it. So I am on page 40, which is partway through chapter 3, and I'm going to try and read as much of this one as I possibly can today. It's a bit chunkier than the first book. So this one is 536 pages, so if you figure that I have to read 371 today, I can knock out probably about 2/3 of this book today if I were to finish all of my pages. But I'm just going to focus on this. I'm going to read as much as I possibly can in this today. And then we'll pick one last book for me to read for the rest of my pages for tomorrow. Tomorrow's Thursday, so that will be the last day. My number for tomorrow is 220. So my number for tomorrow is 220 pages. So I'm going to add whatever I don't finish today onto that and just try and binge read. This is probably going to go into Friday, if I'm being completely honest, because 371 is just a lot to read. 220 is like a really good day for me. So I know like the other day I was able to read 270 pages. It doesn't happen a lot, but it does happen. So I'm just going to kind of see how things play out. I'm going to add in any extra days if I need to, because I'm not putting this video up for at least another week. You're not going to be seeing this until the week after this. So I'm just going to kind of play things by ear. I'm going to add on any extra days if I need to. I like being able to accomplish reading the amount of pages, even if it does take me an extra day to do it. Like I said, one of these days I'm going to actually be able to accomplish this dang number generator and actually stay on top of things, but that week is not this week. So anyways, I'm going to get to reading. I'm going to wrap this up for at least the moment, and I'm going to get back to reading Crooked Kingdom, and I will check back in with you guys later on, give you an update of my thoughts on this book so far, and let you know where I'm at for page count. Hey guys, so we are back again. It is 4:45. It is still Wednesday, and I am reading Crooked Kingdom. I am up to 156 pages or so in this, and so I've read about 149 pages today so far, but I did film a video and edit it for tomorrow, so that's part of the reason. Sorry, the sun is coming out from behind the clouds. So I'm reading Crooked Kingdom, and I'm like 150 pages into it, and to be completely honest with you, I'm a little bit bored. Things are starting to happen, and hopefully things are gonna like start to pick up. Okay, so if it's a little wobbly, I apologize because I'm holding it upright. But anyways, so things are starting to happen. Hopefully it's gonna get a little bit more interesting, because as of right now, I am a little bit bored with it. I'm just not super invested. Like, I like the characters and I like their like found family aspects, but I don't know, I'm just kind of bored with it, and I'm not like flying through it like I hoped I would, which is really difficult for this kind of a reading challenge. So I'm gonna try to keep reading this. I'm gonna give it a little bit longer, because hopefully things are gonna start to pick up with what just happened in the book with where I'm at right now. It also doesn't help, I'm all clogged up and I am not feeling 100%, so I'm just exhausted right now. That doesn't help anything. But I am plugging away at the 300 plus pages that I need to get done today. It's just, like I said, it's slower going than what I hoped to. I did film and edit. See if a book can block it. There we go. Just a little bit. I did film and edit my TBR for February. So I did that today, which took some of my reading time away with filming and editing that and getting it posted. But I'm going to keep reading, and I will check back in with you tomorrow, give you a final page count of what I got done today. And so yeah, I will see you in the morning. Hey guys, it is now Thursday. It is the 6th of February, right? Yes, okay. And it is about 2:30. And technically I recorded an update for you this morning, and I was in kind of a little bit of a personal crisis. I wasn't sure if I wanted to keep reading this book or not, and could not make up my mind. So I actually ended up deleting that footage, and we're gonna refilm it now. So, end of the day yesterday, I ended the day reading 172 pages out of the 371 that I needed to. So I had a lot to add on to today. Today my number was 220 pages. I had to add on 199 pages today. So my total for today is 419 pages that I need to read on the last day of this week-long challenge. Needless to say, I will be failing that. I will not be reading 400 pages today, but I kind of expected that, and I've kind of made my peace with that, and it happens. I am currently reading Crooked Kingdom. I'm about halfway through. I'm on chapter 18, which is 277 pages into this book. So far today, I have read 97 pages. So I've read almost 100 pages so far today. And I like this book, but at the same time, this book feels like it's a very, very slow moving. It is very wordy, and like, I feel like with these 20 to 25 page chapters, most of the chapter I'm bored and I start feeling like I really don't care what's happening, and then the last few pages it's like, oh, okay, I did not realize that that was going to happen, and it gets me intrigued again. I also noticed last night that, sorry, I have my heater going, my space heater is going right here. I also realized last night that this book so far is actually starting to seem very familiar, as if I've read this before. I don't know if I've read this before or not. I have been under the impression all this time that I had not read this book yet, but then things started happening that seem very, very familiar. So I don't remember how it ends, but there are certain bits and pieces that I remember happening. So I've at least must have started this book at some point or another. Yeah, so this morning I was at the point where like I was getting really frustrated and I did not want to continue reading this book, and I was going to draw new books out of the jar, and I was going to try and start from scratch, figure out what I wanted to read. But I think, at least for right now, I'm going to try and keep toughing it out. I do want to finish this book, and I do want to see what happens, and if I have read it, remembering what happens at the end of the book. But it is definitely slow going. Like I said, I'm on 277, and there's over 500 pages in this book. I think it's like 530. And so I'm going to try and stick it out and finish it up. So anyways, that's where I'm at. I have read 97 pages so far out of 419. So I have 300 and some odd pages left to go. And I also ended up having to go to town because I needed to go to Walmart to get my daughter some diapers. And of course, figured since I'm going to drive an hour to town, that we would kind of make an afternoon of it. So we went into Walmart, and then we went and got some lunch, and then we went into Barnes & Noble. And of course, when I go into Barnes & Noble, I have to look around. And what I ended up finding, okay, here's the funny thing. I literally said yesterday I filmed my February TBR and posted my February TBR. And I got the prompt of a book treat. And I literally said, I've gotten so many books that I'm not going to go get a new book. But I went and I got a new book. So this is Gate to Kagoshima. This is by Poppy Kuroki. I don't know, but it's absolutely beautiful. It's got this super duper pretty sprayed edges and this beautiful colors on the cover, and I couldn't not get it. Like, it was so beautiful, and it sounded really interesting. So it says, while in Japan researching her family's history, a vicious typhoon sends Isla Mackenzie 128 years back in time to the dawn of the Satsuma Rebellion. There she meets her ancestors and a charismatic samurai Kai, with whom she unexpectedly finds romance. But unlike her beloved, Isla knows about the looming samurai rebellion and Kai's fate. Should she attempt to change history or somehow make her way back to the life she'd had before? Compulsively readable, historically grounded, and irresistibly immersive, Gate to Kagoshima is an unforgettable tale of duty and timeless love. It sounds fantastic. So not only is this an absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous book, it sounds so good. One of the blurbs on the back says it's a what-if time travel novel with an intriguing historical element, epic battles, and a dash of romance. It sounds like it's going to be something that's right up my alley. And honestly, right now, it's something that I'm kind of in the mood for is like the Asian-centric books. I don't know how else to explain that. I just finished Lady Tan's Circle of Women that is 15th century Chinese medicine based and women in medicine for this video. And then I find this one that is talking about her getting sent back and meeting samurais and stuff like that. And it just sounds absolutely amazing. So we had China in that bit of this video where I was looking into books about China, and now I have this one that is Japan and samurais. I don't know, there's just something about it that's just really got my attention right now, and I'm super excited to read this, and hopefully it will be good. I think it had like a 3.57 on Goodreads, but I'm not gonna let that deter me in any way, shape, or form, because honestly 3.5 is still pretty good. So hopefully I like it and it ends up being even better for me than the 3.5. This is a part of a series, or it will be a series. It says it's it's book 1 of the Ancestor Memories series, so that's also very intriguing. And so yeah, this book is absolutely beautiful and I cannot wait to read it. But for now, at least, I'm going to try to continue reading Crooked Kingdom. And if I end up having another crisis and deciding that I don't want to read this anymore, then I will come back and I will talk to you again. But for the time being, I'm just going to get back to this, try and read a bit more, keep track of my pages as I go, and just kind of see what happens. So wish me luck for lots and lots of really fast reading, and I will talk to you later. Hey, good morning, guys. So I just want to come on and update you real quick. Today is Friday. Yesterday, I ended up reading 181 pages in Crooked Kingdom, but I was falling asleep while I was reading it and almost dropping the book, so I had to stop. So that means out of the 419 pages, I read 181. That means I have 238 pages left to read. I am taking my book with me to town today, but I have a lot of other things that I need to get done, so I don't know how much I'm going to read today. And if not, we're just going to basically turn this into a weekend thing too, because I haven't finished my pages yet, and I intend to finish my pages, even if I have to make this video take longer. So that's my plan. I have lots of stuff I need to get done today, but I am going to try and fit in some reading as I go. I did look for an audiobook for Crooked Kingdom on my Hoopla app, and they didn't have it. They had it, I think it was like in Spanish, but I don't speak Spanish, so that doesn't help me. They had Six of Crows, but not Crooked Kingdom. So I am reading it physically, and I'm up to 373 pages in this, so I'm getting there. I'm making progress. But I just haven't finished it yet. So finishing off this book will leave me, I think, with like between 30 and 50 pages, I think, left over. So I'm gonna try and finish this today. This week just has not worked out how I was planning at all. So hopefully when I do this video again I'm counting this as my January TBR jar challenge. So even though I'm filming it in February, the beginning of February, but hopefully next month when I do my February one, it will go a bit better than this one has. The book is fine. It's not my favorite thing in the world, but it's not bad. And yeah, I think that's pretty much kind of my extent of thoughts for 7:15 in the morning. So hey guys, so it has been a few days. It is now Monday, and I have kind of an update for you. I'm still reading Crooked Kingdom. I still have not finished it. I am up to page 421, 421, so I'm nearly there. I have a little over 100 pages left.
But I wanted to come on here and just kind of give a brief little wrap up. So I don't have any of the books with me except for Crooked Kingdom, but I haven't finished my pages, and it is now Monday, so let's start with that. And I'm going to call this a loss by all means, because I need to wrap this up, and this has gone on way longer than it should have. So I did not make it through all of my pages, which really sucks, because that's the first time that, even with adding on an extra day, that I haven't made it through all of my pages. But things just kind of went crazy over the weekend and the beginning of this week, so I have not read at all today, except for a few pages in a different book. And I'm having a hard time finishing Crooked Kingdom at the moment anyways, so I'm not going to push it. I will finish it. I don't have that much left to go, so I will finish it, but it just won't be at this point in time in the video. So I'm going to call this a loss, and we're going to move on. So first of all, I read Lady Tan's Circle of Women, and I gave it 4.5 stars. This is by Lisa C. And I gave it 4.5 stars. I really enjoyed it. I thought that book was really, really well done. I thought it was very, very interesting, and I believe that I appreciated it so much more because I am a mom. And looking at 15th century childbirth in China and their superstitions and their beliefs, I thought it was very, very interesting. And I'm so, so glad that I read that book and stopped putting it off, because I was very nervous to read it. So I did read that one, and that one was a huge win. And then I reread Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo, and I gave that 4 stars. I thought it was good. I thought it was a little bit too wordy, a little bit too slow, and it just didn't compare. Like, I love Lies of Locke Lamora, and I have read that since I originally read Six of Crows, so I feel like Six of Crows kind of lost some of that oomph for me, and lost some of that kick for me that I originally felt. I originally gave it 5 stars, dropped it down to 4 this time, and I'm reading now Crooked Kingdom, and I'm getting there, slowly but surely. I didn't think that I had ever read this book, and come to find out, I had actually previously read about 75% of it at some point. I am at the point now where I don't remember anything that's going on now, so I don't think I've made it this far in the book previously, but there were a lot of things before this that I realized as I was reading it that it actually was ringing familiar to me, which kind of put me off this book a little bit, to be completely honest with you. And so I am enjoying it. I just feel like, God, there's just some chapters that are on the longer side where I feel like 75% of the chapter I don't really care about what's going on, and it feels like it's going nowhere, and then the end she throws something in that it's like, oh, okay, now I'm intrigued, now I'm curious again, and I want to know what's going to happen. So I just feel like this one is just too long, and I'm just having a hard time getting through it. I feel like her relationships are done extremely, extremely well, considering the fact that this is a YA book. It doesn't feel like a YA love story for any of the characters, because none of it's insta-love. They all have history, they all have backgrounds, they all have trauma. I can imagine all of these characters being my age or into their early 30s. I'm 28. And I can imagine them as being my age or even a little bit older. And so I really like that. And I feel like that really goes to show how well she's written these characters, because they all have a past. They all have trauma. They all have things that they've gone through that no 15 to 18-year-old should have. But that's just the way things are in this book. And I think that really goes to show just how well written these characters are and how well she portrayed them. That being said, this won't be a 5-star book. This will at most be a 4-star book, just like Six of Crows, which isn't a bad thing by any means. I'm just not enjoying them as much as I really hope to. At this point in time, that is still 3 books that I am reading for this video. I do have thoughts for kind of a way to make it up to you guys in my next TBR Jar challenge. But it is officially into we're almost at the 10th of February, guys. It's Oh, it is the 10th of February. Just kidding. We are at the 10th of February right now, and so I need to get this wrapped up for my January TBR Jar challenge and be able to get this vlog posted for you guys. So I did have kind of a late start with this to begin with, and then it's dragging on longer than I intended it to. So at this point, I have almost finished the 3rd book, and so hopefully you aren't too upset with me for not having finished it completely yet and for just calling this a fail. I'm just calling it. We're just gonna finish it in my own time and maybe read a little bit of something else and come back to it. But either way, I just kind of got to take a break. I got to move on with my video projects because otherwise I'm going to be sitting on this one for another month and it's just not going to happen. So I need to finish this up and get this up for you guys. But either way, if you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, subscribe. I would love to see you stick around for more. I do want to try and do this TBR jar challenge every month if possible, as long as I can bring myself to get it done. So if you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, subscribe down below, and hopefully I will catch you in the next one. See ya.